So it sounds like so far you guys are winning the race against Netflix. Another thing since Netflix launched, which apparently people are dissatisfied with, are the sort of content gaps, and that's to do with, I believe, broadcasting licensing rights. So, for example, House of Cards won't be on Netflix South Africa because that's been sold to Mnet. Game of Thrones has been sold to yourselves. But this, over time, could change. How do you plan to stay ahead?
Well, yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, Game of Thrones may be a good example. That's HBO, which is a sort of a big rival to Netflix. So I don't know that you would ever see a Game of Thrones on a Netflix, which is why a service like Showmax comes in. I mean, what we've seen globally is it's not a zero-sum game. People don't tend to have that service or that service. They often will have a number of services because they offer different content. So I think over time, that's how we would continue to, I guess, how we would happily keep going in the face of something like a global giant like Netflix. Again, so if you get the local content right, we think people are interested in that, get the functionality. But also, as long as we're doing deals to get the special content that maybe people don't want to supply to a Netflix, that's where it's interesting.
So, getting the licensing for a lot of these shows, last year and I guess prior to that, was this a preemptive move by you guys to kind of sort of neuter Netflix when they eventually do arrive?
I don't know if I'd quite put it that way. I mean, I think it was more that internet TV is something that is just, it's of the right time in South Africa now. And what I mean by that is the connectivity is just getting there. We've got you hear increasingly in the news about the rollout of something called FTTH, fiber to the home. And that's all the mobile companies have spent a fortune digging up the streets, connecting all their base stations with fiber optic cable. Now what they're starting to do is to make those connections available to homes. And so as you get the rollout of things like FTTH, also fixed mobile products like fixed LTE, long-term evolution, which is sort of a high-speed broadband for mobile, but on a fixed basis, if that makes any sense. On both FTTH, fixed LTE, you can get uncapped packages or very high data caps. And that's what makes services like Showmax possible. So I think from our point of view, the timing was much more around, okay, we want to make sure that we know this is coming. We know that these services are taking off elsewhere in the world. We know something like 100 million people are using subscription video on demand worldwide. So let's make sure that we're up and running in SA at the right time. So I think that was much more of the driver.
Well, that was going to be my next question, particularly regarding costs. We know that South Africa is a bit behind with our data and Wi-Fi costs and speed, but also the subscription costs, and then taking into account our exchange rate at the moment. Showmax does seem more appealing, but either way, how do these services plan to take a foothold in SA with the challenges we have with internet?
I mean, I think what you might have seen is we're already doing a number of deals with the various providers. So with Telkom, with MWeb as examples, and you're going to see lots more of that. Working with local fiber providers, and it's a win-win really. That if we can Showmax or a subscription video service is a reason to want to get a fiber to the home service. And if you have a fiber to the home service, putting it the other way, then having a Showmax is a no-brainer because you're already paying for the connectivity. The extra $99 a month for us is incrementally is very small. So I think that's how we would see that one playing out. Going to be doing more of those deals, more of those partnership deals. And then again, I don't want to harp on it, keep harping too much, but again, things like downloads are important. We think that's how you make it available to a much wider cross-section of society. Not everyone is going to have FTTH, but they do still want to see these shows. They do still have, we've got the advent of low-cost smartphones, low-cost tablets. So they've got the device. They can afford the subscription to Showmax. Now it's the connectivity piece is coming together with the things like public Wi-Fi. So that's I guess that's how we see this one playing out in the coming year or years.